Micron. I mean, everybody was like, HBM to the moon. What happened?
Well, stock's down 18% in the week. So something really horrible must have happened. And, net, they hit revenue, they beat on EPS, and they absolutely had a train wreck for their guide, even though enterprise HBM is actually to the moon. And I think what it shows is you've got to have a balanced portfolio of wins here. You can't just have one win and then have a train wreck everywhere else. I always like to separate this into market-driven versus self-inflicted wounds. And I think this is kind of a market-driven, given that the PC market, the smartphone market is down, even though, the data center, number and market, like their data center number was up 400%, and it's 50% revenue of the entire company. That's a combination of HBM and of SSD. So people got spooked, and we've seen this characterization in the market, or this reaction in the market, when somebody stubs their toe. 2 quarters ago, Dell margins on AI on AI servers. We haven't exactly seen much of anything, like you said earlier in the show, on NVIDIA. I think AMD's down for the year. So, we're having this leveling off. On the flip side, you've got Broadcom, that's, a $1 trillion company based on the back of primarily its XPU. You've got Marvell that's flying here. I think the company, if I have a critique of the company needs to talk more. They need to talk more consistently out there, and they need to even talk a lot more outside of their earnings. I've really seen a ramp down in communications from the company in the last year, and I don't know if that's, hey, we're going to talk about something when we think we have something great, but I think when the company doesn't talk a whole lot out there, I think that people think that the company might be hiding something, or there might be bad news. And I'd like to see the company doing what it had done maybe the prior 2 years.
Yeah. All right. So what are we talking about again? No, I'm just kidding. So I had a chance. I joined CNBC Squawk Asia on this one, and I did definitely dig into it. You hit some of the really important points, but they went over 50% of their revenue from data center this quarter. That is like a massive pivot. Now we're seeing this playbook a little bit. It's taken different time cycles, but like Marvell, you talked about Broadcom, but Broadcom made a really hard pivot this year in its business to these AI-based both networking and XPU chips that has created a lot of value. Marvell made the pivot to AI-driven revenue in data center to get out of sort of its comms and network, some of its traditional core businesses, and was able to really overcome it. Now the question is for Micron is, I think everyone appreciates the HBM market. They understand it. There's 3 players, Samsung, SK, and Micron. All 3 of them are working very fast to try to win this market. And Micron has gotten some validations for NVIDIA, which is really important in terms of growth. But having said that, I mean, look, they missed their guide by $1 billion while still crushing HBM. So this is the bifurcation that a lot of people are struggling with. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's terrible. No, it's not terrible. Literally, Micron's having the same problem that every semi company has had that was outside of pure data center business. And that's burning off inventory, dealing with pricing pressures, and the fact that the PC, I'm going to say the quiet part out loud here, Pat. The AI PC cycle has been a bust so far. It's not a bust forever. It's just a bust so far.
A total bust, man. I mean, you say you're going to deliver software in June to the general public, and you still have not delivered it, and it's December 20th, right? And I'm looking at you, Microsoft, right?
Yeah, and it's fair. And that's a fair thing. Like you and I made calls about the, well, I'll take my lumps. I made calls that the second half was going to see more acceleration. I saw recent numbers that they're actually shipments are down on overall on PC numbers. And now you've got more, you've got more silicon diversity. You got more choices, and meaning that everyone's unit volumes are going to take a bit of a hit there. And so what I'm saying is Micron, to made the pivot it's made to be profitable, to do it all on the back of data center, while basically their core business, the DRAM business for PCs and smartphones is actually a pretty good pivot. So the AI trade is still intact, but meanwhile, the PC and smartphone business has got to get going again. That's why I kind of look back at my comment about Apple. It's like, what the heck? Like, they've had their new phone, Apple Intelligence, this, that, and the other thing, and we're not seeing unit growth. So why is all this exuberance into Apple while PCs aren't selling? And at the same time, like you see with the Micron numbers, is it's all more dependency. Marvell numbers, Broadcom numbers, Micron numbers, all dependency on this AI silicon.
Apple is a very safe bet.
I think so.
I'd be super interested to see where the trades come from. I think there's a lot of money coming overseas to the United States, and where are you going to put it? That's safe.
I think it's a, first of all, you look at their buybacks and the amount of money they've spent to lower their float count. I think it's a great bet for investors. I just mean, like, as a whole, it's not a bet based on innovation. It's certainly not a bet based on.
No, they're more of like an Apple. Sorry, they're more like an IBM trade.
Yeah, 30 years ago, right?
No, they're not a growth. I mean, IBM's not a growth stock at this point. They're doing a lot of stuff right, but I'm just saying they're a safe bet, right? You're not going to lose your butt on it.
Well, they've literally lowered their float in half by buying their own stock back, which is, I mean, you can, it's like one of those things, like you can't, I mean, if you can, why not? I mean, it's not
the stumbles. I mean, they got out of the automotive market. That's one market they're out of. They stumbled on Vision Pro, like possibly the worst product they've ever brought, and arguably top 5 worst products they ever brought out.